You know, I was just recently visiting with our local radio rep because Straight Nutrition is starting radio. In fact, we just started this week in San Diego County, and super excited about that. Excited about the growth that we're having, helping people straighten out their food. Anyway, we were sitting there and Bardee says to me, "It's not okay." And I said, "What's not okay, Bardee?" I'll show you. It's not okay that 2.2 million children every year are taken into the sex trade. It's not okay. And I completely agreed with her because it's not okay that these children are being hurt and abused for some other purpose that doesn't mean anything to them. And so I thought, wow, what can we do about this? And of course, she had a lot of answers for me. So I want to ask you, where are you enslaved? This isn't just about the girls, because you see, in America, we have another form of slavery, and that's the healthcare crisis. It's not okay that people are afraid of their own bodies. It's not okay that our patients go to their caregivers, people who are supposed to take care of them, and they're being threatened that if they don't take this drug and do this surgery, they're going to die. You know, in America today, we know that 2 out of 3 people are overweight and obese. And $147 billion is healthcare cost of obesity alone. So people are in complete crisis about that. And it's not okay. Because you see, the opposite of slavery is freedom. And our bodies were designed to live in that freedom. So we're going to talk about that today, is how do we help people move from that place of slavery into the vitality that their bodies were created to thrive in. But before we do that, I want to tell you a little story. Back in 1932, my mother was born. And that's a significant date because 3 years prior to that date, 1929, something changed in America. But back to Mom, she lived her life of obesity. In her adult years, she became entrapped with obesity. And my mother lived a real sorrowful, let me say, because it's not easy to be overweight. It's not easy to be obese, and the health issues that come along with that really do trap you. And so she lived that life, and she tried every diet pill, every diet program imaginable. And then one day in 1982, she met a man who changed her life. She found this chiropractor, Dr. Brous, in Sunnyside, Oregon, and he did all the things that he could. And that made a significant difference. He tested her hair. He tested her blood, urine, stool. He checked everything and said, where are the toxicities in her body? Where are the nutritional deficiencies? And let's pull down those toxicities and fill up those nutritional deficiencies so that her body can thrive. And so every single week, my mother went and was touched by this man who cared about the food that she put in her body, and he cared about the vitality that she lived with. And he touched her and adjusted her every single week with that non-sexual touch. And in a year's time, my mother lost 100 pounds. And he freed her from that slavery. So the next 12 minutes, I want to talk about what are are the components of that slavery that trap us and that trap our patients, and how can we free them? Because it's not okay for them to live fearing their bodies. It's not okay for them to be threatened by their caregivers, but instead you chiropractors and you CAs that are in the room here today that have the pleasure of helping these people can be their last best hope, like Dr. Brous was to my mother. So first, let's talk about the slavery. There's three components that are significantly tied to slavery that keep them there. First thing is fear. We live today in a society that is afraid of their bodies. And they got there because they're being taught to be afraid of their bodies rather than being taught to that their bodies are created by the power that made the body heals the body, and that their bodies were created to thrive, and that their job was to simply provide the right environment. And if they do that, they're going to have that homeostasis kicking in that gets their body in that perfect balance. So all they have to do is come get adjusted, and they're going to live a life of vitality. The second thing is they're being threatened by their caregiver. And that's not okay. When I am talked to emotionally and people are coming at me with fear, I have a thing that pops up and it goes, red flag, stop right there. And that's what should be happening. Red flag. Anytime somebody feels that feeling of fear, the words that are coming at them, perhaps somebody is speaking over their head with information they're not familiar with, but you can do that in a way that doesn't create that feeling of fear, which says, stop right there, red flag. I need to get educated. And that's what you doctors can do to help these patients understand their bodies more and what their jobs are, by giving them the right tools, something they can hang on to. That'll make a difference for them, even when they're breaking bad habits. And the last thing is, back to 1929, 3 years before my mother was born. In America, something happened. A group of teachers got together and said, we need to insure this body. And so they went to a hospital in Dallas, Texas and said, give us an insurance plan and we're going to pay you monthly and you're going to ensure that this body stays healthy. Which is absolutely ludicrous in my opinion, because the truth of the matter is we are the only ones, each one's individually, who can do the things to keep this body healthy and vibrant. So when my husband and I decided that we would start our family and we would build his practice, I left corporate America after 16 years of being in retail and radio as the retail marketing manager of the radio station in San Diego. And I stepped out of the insurance world because in 16 years I had been insured by some of the best insurance policies. And we became self-insured. Well, there is a study out today that tells us that the overall savings for being self-insured saves you 10% overall without compromising the quality of care. So because we have 3 kids, is it fair for me to say that we saved $1,000 a month by keeping that money ourselves? I think that's fair, considering the average person is paying over $1,300 a month for their insurance. So we kept that money. And instead we spent more money on our food, getting quality food, organic, getting rid of the chemicals and putting the right food and trying to do the right balance and doing the exercise and the sleep and getting adjusted and all the things that it takes to provide the right environment for our bodies to thrive. And so for $1,000 a month times 12,000, which is 12,000 a year, times 20 years, we saved a house. All right? We kept that money. That's called self-insured. That is the opposite of fear, you see. You have to be knowing that if you do the right things, your body is actually going to operate in harmony. So we need to listen to our red flags, and stand confidently doing the things that are going to bring us into vitality. The second thing about slavery is entrapment. People become entrapped when they are uneducated and they don't understand about their bodies. And so they feel trapped in the lack of information. My people are going to die for a lack of information. But that's part of our job as a CA, even as a doctor, that we can help come alongside of these patients and we can help build confidence in them by educating them about how their bodies work and about how they can create the right environment. Another thing is resources, and I'm not talking about finances here. Because you see, I didn't have any finances when I started out in retail as a buyer. All I came from a poor family, but what I did have was I had resources because I had surrounded myself with the right people. The people who had been there and done that before. Having a mentor is a resource that is so valuable for people to change their life and their health. Obviously, for the girls, they feel a lack of resource. They feel trapped. They don't know anybody outside of that world. And so people with health issues tend to do the same thing. And weight issues tend to stay with this people who have the same weight issue. And we have to get outside of that and get with somebody who has already overcome that issue themselves or has never had that issue and is just strong, and they can help bring you out of that. And the last part of entrapment, the third part, is lacking in finances. And that's why with the girls, it's not okay. They're making bracelets and they can make a change in their life because we can have a business for them and they can make bracelets and they don't have to be trapped in that industry. And so the finances for the people in our practice is obviously, it's less expensive to straighten out the food and get adjusted every week than it is to go be on kidney dialysis because they lived the life of a diabetic or have your legs cut off. That's expensive. And that will entrap you. And the third thing, and I think the biggest part of slavery, is a lack of vision. See, when you're in the mud, you're feeling pretty hopeless. When you're trapped in this big, obese body, that can feel pretty hopeless. And you can feel very undervalued. But you see, we can do something about this because we can value these people and show them that they're loved, and we can love them. And the last thing we can do is we can give them an action plan that works, that has been tried and true. You know, this Dr. Browse showed my mother by testing. Take the guesswork away, docs. We are not crystal danglers here, okay? We have the ability to test and see exactly where they're at. When people know where they're at, you can show them the action steps and a path, and you can illuminate the light right before each foot is stepped down, and you can show them how to take each baby step out of that place by giving them an action plan that works. And so at Straight Nutrition, we believe vitality is created by nutrients, not drugs. Can you accept this? Do you agree with me on that? And so it becomes not a guesswork, but it's more of a science-based nutrition, you see, because we can use the tools that we have to arm our patients with the tools so they have something to hang on to, and they have an action plan that's proven, it's tried, and it's true, and we fill those nutritional deficiencies. And so you docs become their last best hope. Remember, Mom, after losing 100 pounds, after having a whole year of being adjusted, someone decided she didn't need that help anymore. But you see, we all need to be free of interference, and we all need that continued support, because if these people could do it without the support, they would. They would have already done it. They wouldn't be where they're at. And so she ping-ponged. Not a surprise, right? Mom ping-ponged, and one day she went to the library to see her friend, and she was very tired. So she told her friend, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go home. And her friend said, I'm going to walk you out because I can see you're not feeling good. And she tripped and fell on the curb and hurt her knee. And so she went home to lay down and take a nap. And that day, in 1990, my mom passed away at 58 years old. See, it's not okay to be trapped like that. It's not okay to hurt ourselves with the food. And it's not okay to withdraw care from the people that we love. And so I am more excited about the work that my husband and all of you do in getting people straightened out with their subluxations, and the work that Straight Nutrition does, and many of you have nutrition in your practice, because we know we have to set those molecules and order them aright and straighten them out. I am more excited today than when I started 12 years ago and 22 years ago with my husband, because we really have everything it takes to help these people, and you docs can be the last best hope for these people. Let's go do that together. Thank you.